When people are asked about the purpose of their actions or their life goals, the common response is often the pursuit of happiness, which really tells that the central or main goal of humans of all time is achieving happiness. Now, everyone seeks happiness, but who is really the happy person? If I were to ask you this question, what makes you happy? I know that most would respond with these kind of answers. I'll be happy when I have this, or when I achieve that, or when I'm with this person or that. Well, life doesn't always play out the way we envision. So as a result, you find yourself in a perpetual waiting game for happiness. And often complaining about things not aligning with your expectations or goals not being achieved when expected. So if you constantly tie your happiness to specific events or individuals and believe that you're not happy until you achieve certain things, then you might not be happy right now or for most of your life. And plus, the feeling of happiness can be transient. So people often seek new source of joy when the initial source no longer provides the same level of satisfaction. And this leads us to this question: why happiness doesn't last? Let's talk about what happens to the body when you feel happy. Now, when you desire something, when you want to achieve a certain goal because it makes you happy, your brain releases dopamine, the motivation hormone. Now, when you achieve your goal, you reach the peak of happiness, right? You're so happy. And then after that, dopamine levels drop, referring to the completion of the task. Now, after this initial thrill of getting what you wanted, the enjoyment can fade. And this is called hedonic adaptation. And it basically means that you get used to the new thing and it doesn't spark the same joy anymore. And then you start seeking the next thing to keep the cycle going and feel happy again. So, depending on external sources for happiness might not lead to contentment because you always want more. So, actually, when you say that you're not happy, it doesn't necessarily mean a lack of reasons to be happy. It's more about having a desire for more, and it's hard for you to feel satisfied. Let's talk about external sources that people normally seek to be happy. Number one, relying on material possessions for happiness. If you constantly tie your happiness to material things, you might find that nothing is ever enough. We often see people who got what they thought would make them happy, but still aren't. Because as we talked before, whatever you have, you're gonna get used to it. And no matter what you have, you always want more. It's not that material things can contribute to your happiness, they can sometimes, but you shouldn't depend solely on them. Because once you get used to what you have, it doesn't make you feel the same way anymore. Even if you have everything that normally brings happiness to people, you might still feel unhappy, as true happiness really starts from within. And it's actually a solid foundation that isn't swayed by what you have or don't have. Maybe the happiness that you are waiting for isn't found in what's yet to be gained. Maybe if you look around you, you might find that what makes you happy is already there, but you can't notice it. Now, number two, relying on others for your happiness. If you can't find happiness and contentment within yourself, expecting someone else to make you happy is a little bit a setup for disappointment. And it's interesting because many people are searching for someone to make them happy. So, if this is really the case, are you interested in finding a person who is dependent on others for their happiness? Probably not. You want someone who is already happy to be able to make others happy. That way, you're not relying on an empty well to fill your cup. It makes sense, right? And the same thing actually when you're not happy. How will you make others happy if you're not? And who's going to be interested in you? And I don't want you to get this whole thing wrong when I say happiness, because happiness doesn't mean that you laugh all the time, right? We're gonna talk about that later in the video. It's all about being happy independently, and others can only contribute to your happiness. Now, how can you really find happiness from within? It's all about self discovery and finding activities that bring you joy. And so, while external factors like relationships can add to your happiness, but the foundation should be rooted in your own sense of well being. Now, what should you do then to be happy? Now, the wise thing to do is not seek perpetual happiness. It's an unrealistic expectation. Second, constant happiness can actually lead to a lack of motivation. Imagine that you are happy all the time. There will be no drive to set goals, work, learn or try new things. And it really makes life seem purposeless, because you've already achieved the ultimate goal, which is happiness. Life is not about that. Life is more complicated than that. Variety in our feelings is crucial for a meaningful life. Feelings like sadness and fear, for example, serve a purpose. See, they motivate us to pursue goals to protect ourselves from what we fear, for example, and make positive changes in tough situations, positive changes in ourselves, in our lives. We become better. So the feeling of happiness is like a reward for our hard work. And it doesn't make sense to have a reward all the time, right? So happiness is like any other feeling. You're not sad, crying, or angry all the time, right? Well, you're not happy all the time either. So why go after it your whole life if you can't have it 24/7? Complaining and avoiding situations just because they don't make you happy right away is not a wise course of action. You need other feelings. The diversity of emotions is there for a reason. So try to embrace all your emotions. Now, number two, the reason that you feel unhappy is that you only think about the future. You're too focused on the future that you can't notice the things around you that could really truly bring you happiness. Your mind is somewhere else. You can't be present. And you could be spending your entire life waiting for just one future moment or event to feel happy. Do you really want that? So live in the present moment. Be happy with your life now. It's good to plan for the future, but don't focus all your attention on it because nothing is guaranteed. Number three, choosing to be happy every day is within your reach. Happiness isn't solely tied to significant events, but it could be discovered in small moments. I know that achieving your dream job or a major success can bring happiness, and it's beautiful, but happiness is not just limited to those big milestones. It's also present in the small things, like enjoying a good cup of coffee, reading books, or walking in the rain. So, recognizing and appreciating these everyday moments can contribute to a more consistent sense of happiness. Number four, pursue meaning and happiness will follow. When there's meaning in what you do, you will live and feel happy. Now, what does real happiness mean? Well, actually, instead of always wanting to be happy, maybe it's better to just be content. Contentment is the balance among all emotions. It's the inner peace you feel regardless of the specific emotion you're experiencing at the moment. Contentment doesn't mean you're happy all the time. It means that you can feel sad or other emotions and still feel okay. And it's when life doesn't unfold the way you wish and yet you still feel satisfied. Contentment means that you accept your current situation because you know that everything happens for a reason. This sense of being settled from the inside and at peace is essentially happiness. Now, of course, finding contentment demands the strength to master patience. Life doesn't always go according to your plans, and rather than being upset and getting stuck in unhappiness, face the challenges in your life and concentrate on finding solutions. So learn, evolve, and face this life with a resilient spirit. And being content helps you be resilient. Now, happiness comes from finding a purpose in life, which comes from believing in something bigger, like God. And it means that you follow God and try to live by his rules. So feeling content is about feeling good because you know that you are doing the right thing by following what God teaches. This makes you feel at peace. You feel content when you trust God and trust in what he has planned for you. Understanding that everything happens for a reason. Now, trusting God and accepting what comes our way is what makes happiness a choice. When you believe that God is going to reward you for your patience in tough situations, you accept whatever happens to you and you become patient. And this leads to feeling content. Now, let's talk about feeling content and its relation to health. Feeling contentment, which comes from mindfulness and gratitude, can contribute to a healthier and more fulfilling life. And here are some of the health benefits associated with contentment. Number one, enhanced mental health. It contributes to lower rates of anxiety and depression. Number two, contentment is associated with a stronger immune system. Number three, promoting heart health. And that was based on scientific researches. You need to be grateful and thankful for what you have. When you notice all the gifts that you have, you'll find abundant reasons to be happy. Trust me. And you need to make sure that your happiness originates from within. This makes it a conscious choice rather than something that you wait for. So that was it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and you can follow me on my other social media platforms if you want. The links are in the description. Bye.